Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Thursday, the 21st day of December, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Prepper tip of the day. I haven't mentioned this for a while. I want to encourage all of you to consider taking a child, maybe several children, to a hunter safety class. That'd be a fun way to spend a Saturday morning, wouldn't it? A hunter safety class. I don't know how long these classes run. Better part of a day. I expect anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8 hours, maybe even 2 days on some of these classes. Regardless, it would be a great gift for your child or grandchild, maybe some of the neighbor kids, maybe a church group. A whole church group could go. It'd be a great thing to do for these youngsters. That's your prepper tip of the day. Today, Thursday, the 21st, in Melbourne, Australia, the Religion of Peace has given everybody in Melbourne a special gift. The Religion of Peace sponsored a young man who drove an automobile 60 miles an hour into a crowd of Christmas shoppers. 19 people injured, 4 of them in critical condition, having life-threatening injuries, including a toddler. Muslim from Afghanistan. It's not 100% clear if he was born in Australia to Afghan parents, or if he immigrated from Afghanistan. The authorities are saying, within hours, they were saying he had no connection to terrorism. Well, the 32-year-old immigrant is being described here. How could they know? Of course, if he's a Muslim, he's connected to terrorism on the face of it, isn't he? They say he has mental health issues. Well, that's almost a given. There's about a 50% chance that his parents are related by blood. In most Muslim countries, it's quite common for cousins to marry. Now, if cousins marry in one generation, the first generation of cousins being married to each other, there's a dramatic increase in the incidence of insanity, low IQ, and birth defects. Do that for 1,000 years and see what happens. Your DNA of your culture, of your country, and your culture is forever broken and can't be fixed. Yes. So it's no shock, it's no surprise that the adult child of cousins getting married would have mental health issues. Now, they also arrested another gentleman at the scene at the same site who was filming the incident and had a quote unquote bag full of knives. So he just happened to be there when he was and happened to have his camera ready to film the incident. They're saying he had no connection to the attack. It says here, quote unquote, another man carrying a bag of knives who was filming the incident was also arrested, although police have indicated he had no connection to the attack. Well, I wonder if he was a Muslim also. Okay. Yeah. Do a Google search on inbreeding in Muslim countries, and you'll find out it helps explain a lot of things. At least it did for me. How can you convince somebody to strap themselves with a vest packed with explosives and blow themselves up? How can you do that? Well, if the average IQ of your country is 70 or 75, which means there's as many people with a 50 IQ as there is with a 90 IQ. It becomes a lot easier to convince somebody with a 50 IQ to blow themselves up, in my humble opinion. Of course it is easier to convince somebody with a 50 IQ to blow themselves up with a vest packed with explosives. Now, as most of you know, my hometown is St. Louis, Missouri. You cannot have grown up in St. Louis, Missouri, and not know people connected to what used to be McDonnell Douglas, which is now Boeing, where they build F-15s. Word gets around about the culture surrounding F-15s, anything and everything to do with F-15s. I've known probably a dozen men and women who work at Boeing up there in St. Louis. It became somewhat common knowledge within that culture that when American flight instructors go to Saudi Arabia to teach the best and the brightest Saudi Arabians to be F-15 pilots, and they do, the Saudi Arabian military, they have diagnostics to make sure they get the most highly intelligent young men to be F-15 pilots that they can find. Then, and when a class starts Tuesday morning, they have to reteach everything they did on Monday morning, because these men have such a low IQ they can't remember what they were taught the day before. It's pretty distressing. But Muhammad did instruct, and since Muhammad was the perfect man, did instruct his followers to marry their cousins, and they've been doing so for more than 1,000 years. Isn't that special? Now, in England, I believe I'm talking from memory here. The birth defects in the general population as a whole is around 1% or maybe 0.5%. It's a fairly low number on one hand. On the other, half of all the birth defects are babies born to Pakistani parents. Of course, Pakistan was part of the British Commonwealth, and it's pretty easy for Pakistanis to immigrate to England because of Pakistan having been part of the British Commonwealth. Their DNA is broken and can't be fixed. Now, let's segue to another aspect of all this. These more than 1 million Muslim men, mostly men, men between 20 and 40 years old, that have come to Europe in the past several years. What are these men going to do with an average IQ of 70 or 75? What are they going to do in Germany or France, and in these other countries with such a low average IQ? What jobs could they possibly hold? What jobs can they possibly successfully compete against other people? What can they do? Now, if you're living in Pakistan or Afghanistan, places like that, you can probably be a successful goat herder and have what's considered a normal life in those areas, herding goats or growing opium. Possibly, very likely you could. But in a first world country where they have jobs requiring intellect, what's the jobs available to these men with a average 70, 75 IQ? What can they do? It's going to be very limited. They're going to figure out very quickly, even with their low IQ, that the odds of them having a normal, successful life in those cultures is virtually non-existent. Virtually non-existent. Why the leaders of these countries haven't figured this out, I don't know. Allowing mass migration of hundreds of thousands of men that will never, ever be able to integrate. When I say integrate, I mean become useful, productive parts of society. What does that mean? That means learning a language, respecting the laws and culture of the country they've immigrated to, and having a gainful employment. In the absence of those things, What are we left with? Men who are receiving a government subsidy to survive. That's what we're left with. Men who have no choice except to take whatever the government's willing to give them for food, shelter, clothing. Now, I read that Angela Merkel was fearful of being labeled a Nazi if she enforced the immigration laws of Germany and protected her country that she's took a sacred oath to protect. If she protected her country from these people coming there that can never ever become productive parts of society. It's such a shame. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not sure. I don't know what's in this woman's heart. I can't possibly determine that sitting here in Davisville, Missouri, on the other side of the planet from Germany. I do know the consequences. Consequences are very clear cut. They're creating a subculture of men and women who can never, ever become productive parts of German society. They can't because they don't have the intellect. The Nobel Awards for science and technology coming out of Germany is phenomenal given the size of the country. German people are known to be very bright, very energetic, very productive people in their chosen career paths, whatever it might be. Bringing in these hundreds of thousands of men and women who can never, ever become part of that in any meaningful way is a massive mistake. Sweden's toast. I don't understand Swedish society. I don't understand why they hate themselves, hate their culture, which is a beautiful ancient culture going back many centuries. They're literally destroying themselves. Not figuratively, but literally destroying themselves. It's a small country, and the numbers they've brought in of these inbred Muslims is going to ultimately destroy their country, destroy their culture. Melbourne, Australia. Car going 60 miles an hour into a crowd of Christmas shoppers at the Melbourne's Flinders Street Station, which is apparently a well-known, popular shopping area. Now, of course, it's already tomorrow in Australia. It's already the 22nd of December in Australia. This happened the afternoon of the 21st, which would have been yesterday our time. 32-year-old Afghan immigrant arrested by police after a scuffle. His man had mental health issues, a history of drug use, and no evidence of a link to terrorism. Well, I have no doubt whatsoever that this gentleman thought he was carrying out the will of Allah. Of course he did. Of course he did. From the time these Muslims are being potty trained, they're being taught to hate and kill infidels. Anybody who's not a Muslim is an infidel. Any Muslim who's not the right kind of Muslim well, I don't know if they call them infidels or not, but Muslims are perfectly happy to kill other Muslims if they can't find a Christian to murder. Quite happy to do that. This is not going to go away. We Westerners, we will be dealing with this for decades into the future. I haven't had a chance yet to reread the article written by Albert Pike describing the three world wars, the final one being the war between Christians and Muslims. And I need to put that on my list of things to do and get it done here in the next day or so. Events of this nature, this magnitude, are planned many decades in advance. Albert Pike wrote his article more than a century ago. I believe it was in the late 1890s, if I'm not mistaken. Albert Pike, of course, was the author of Morals and Dogma, which is the equivalent of the Christian Bible for the people who believe in such things. What can you do? Well, what can you do? You can you can make sure your situational awareness is up to par. These attacks with motor vehicles are becoming more common. If you're in an area where an attack by a motor vehicle is a possibility, you need to be on high alert, quite frankly. This could happen anywhere, anytime. Attacks on churches have become more common as well. The one in Texas was a little country town, very small country town. What was a population, 400 to 600 people, something of that nature. You think there's a safe place? Well, I don't know what that place would be. Some places are obviously more safe than others. I would not want to be in Times Square next week. It was New Year's Day, a week from Monday. No way would I want to be in Times Square. What a tempting target. I know the New York City police are doing everything they can to make sure people are safe, but in the modern age, that can't be done. There's no way they can make that area safe from a determined, resourceful person or group that wants to commit terror. It can't happen. That's my reality. But I know there'll be about 1 million people there, give or take, in and around Times Square. Everybody they want to be part of that celebration and watch that big illuminated ball make its descent as we approach midnight, New Year's Eve. If you have a friend or a loved one who's considering going to Times Square, try to talk them out of it. Seriously. Try to talk them out of it. It's just simply not a wise thing to do, in my opinion. What a tempting target for the religion of peace. We got a break coming up here. Call number is 800-313-9443. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 21st. If you want a great college-level education on Islam, on my website on the left side, there's a sword there right next to my photograph. It says, "What Would Muhammad Do?" You can buy that DVD set and really get a college-level education using. They make use of their own material right out of the Quran and the Hadith. Before we get to our next caller, we do have a new image posted of North America with new coastlines. It's from the TV series Highway Through Hell. The episode is The Comeback Kid. It was aired the first time September 17th, 2013. Our next caller is Dan in Missouri. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning, John. You beat me to the punch there, buddy. I was going to remind people of What Would Muhammad Do there on your website. That is an absolutely amazing set of DVDs.
It is, absolutely. And you're the guy that would help me find, but go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. I was going to say, if anybody's involved in a church out there, and I know a lot of your listeners are, at least the leaders of the church, the elders, the deacons, whatever, tie them to a chair, whatever it takes, and let them watch the first one. If they don't want to watch the others, there's something wrong with their brain. I mean, this is an eye-opener like I had never seen. It's your introduction to your show today times 100,
right? Because
it reinforces it with their own material. It reinforces everything you said today already with their own material. Undeniable.
Right. Yeah.
And Randall's having some health problems with his family, not him. He needs the support. He's done an incredible job. On a like subject, I just got a letter from him the other day, and he's created another video, and the name of it is A Cold Day in Hell, and he entered it in the Christian Film Festival, which sounds like it shouldn't fit, but it does. And it's about the conversion of Norma McCorvey. She was the Jane Roe of Roe versus Wade. And she ended up converting to a Christian after all that mess. And evidently this film at the Christian Film Festival ended up with the title of Best Documentary. So that would be something else that you might want to look into, and your listeners too. But Randall Terry, he's incredible to listen to. He's as professional as any speaker I've ever seen or heard.
Dan, you're my neighbor and my friend. Missouri legislative session begins in a few weeks. I think we should draft some proposed legislation and lobby to get it passed in the Missouri House and the Missouri Senate, requiring Missouri funeral homes to have a special room set aside for farewell sex so that Muslim men can have sex with their recently deceased wives in a proper setting suitable for Muslims to carry out the religion of peace.
I never thought of that, John. That's a good idea.
It is, isn't it? We need to do this. We need to be respectful of other people's beliefs.
Yeah, and I know you said that facetiously, but I think...
I'm being quite serious. It's the right thing to do, and I'm sure the liberals will support me on this. We need to support the religion of peace, respect these people's ancient and beautiful culture, the beautiful religion, according to Hussein Obama, and do the right thing, and make sure that Missouri funeral homes set aside a special room for farewell sex so that Muslim men can carry out their beautiful religion and have sex with their recently deceased wives.
I can't argue with that. And, initially I was going to say I thought you were being facetious, and then it hit me. I'm a little slow. If we would literally propose a bill like this, a law, whatever, the least it would do, if it didn't get passed, which God, I hope it wouldn't. But if it did get presented, just the presentation of it itself would open some eyes.
Oh,
because they'd all have to hear it, right?
Right, and what would happen is, here's what would happen. I would personally be attacked, by the Muslims, but the message would not be attacked, because if the message is true, and the message is backed up by their own religion, they can't attack the message. They're only left with attacking the messenger.
Well, I can't argue with that. You're probably right. They would, but yeah,
Dan, thank you
as
for the
ridiculous
call.
as that sounds, it would be a good message to get out to the people of Missouri and the whole country. It might even
Dan,
make
thank you.
nationwide news.
It probably would. We have a break. We'll be back with Tom Berryhill. We'll talk about the energy cleaner. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 21st of December. This is the 24 minutes I look forward to every week. We talk about a marvelous healing device called the Energy Cleaner. We begin these conversations with my friend Tom Berryhill, the manufacturer of the Energy Cleaner, giving us our disclaimer. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, John. Good morning. We're not doctors or medical professionals. We don't diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease. The information discussed today is for your education and entertainment only. If you have a medical condition requiring treatment, you should utilize the services of a medical doctor, chiropractor, or other competent practitioner. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Well, Tom, we're in the holiday season here. It will be Christmas Day in 4 days. And I'm shipping out energy cleaners just as quick as you can fabricate them. Mattress pads the same way. I'm almost caught up, quite frankly. I hope to be getting energy cleaners from you before the end of the day today. I've got mattress pads coming from Chicago. Typically, by this time of year, things have slowed down for me shipping energy cleaners, but this year has been an exception, and I've noticed a dramatic increase in people buying their second and third units for our friends and family. And that's very gratifying that people are doing that. They're biting the bullet. I know for a lot of people, the expense of an energy cleaner and a mattress pad is a considerable expense, but they're doing it regardless because they want to see their sibling, their adult children, their parents, their close friend get relief. So on my printouts, Tom, I get from my credit card processor, I've got the name of the person who's buying the energy cleaner on the right side of the sheet of paper, and the person and their address who's receiving it on the other side of the same sheet of paper. And so that's how I know that these are gifts, because they're different names and different addresses. And that's turning out to be about, I would say, 1/4 to 1/3 of sales are coming out that way. How about that, Tom?
Well, John, that's true. It's exactly what's going on. A lot of gift giving, and this is an excellent gift if you have a friend or family member that's having some health issues, pain issues. They need to get some better sleep. We get wonderful reports back from these folks, John, when they get these and start working with this technology. Last year was pretty busy too, this holiday season, but yes, this year has been unusually busy, and we're going as fast as we can. But these people will get their energy cleaners and the mattress pads, and they'll be all set. And it continues on from there, John. They share the information, and like you say, it's the repeat orders. They wouldn't buy a second or third or fourth or even higher numbers than that if it didn't work. So
No.
people are getting results. We don't always hear them calling in on your show. It's nice when they do to get some updates directly from these energy cleaner users, but we know that it's happening because of these repeat orders and gift orders and so on.
That's right. That's right. And if you have a story to tell us here on Republic Broadcasting, please don't be bashful. Share it with everybody else. Your sharing your story might help motivate somebody to take that final step, go to John Moore's website at thelibertyman.com, and go ahead and make that purchase of an energy cleaner and a mattress pad and bring to an end the suffering, bring to an end dealing with pain, and bring to an end the expensive, harmful, dangerous pharmaceutical products that these people are using. And your story out there, you listeners who use the energy cleaner, your story might just be the tipping point to get people to pick up that telephone and call my toll-free number. That's 800-592-9543. And go ahead and get that energy cleaner. And Tom, you told me the other day that if you had an order for 500 units, you'd be in quite a pickle there, wouldn't you?
Yes, I did say that.
No.
We can move them out pretty quick, John, but that would really put us under the gun.
Right. Well,
we
that
do
would
okay
be
the way it is. We do pretty good.
Yeah. Well, you've been in manufacturing for most of your adult life, and you're at a point now where you would just soon not have employees. Isn't that somewhat accurate?
Yeah, that's true. Now, what I do at times is to form out to others, to get certain things, certain component parts in that made. I'll do that on occasion, but typically I do most of the work myself.
I know you do. I was at your manufacturing facility when you had it, down there in St. Louis County, manufacturing parts that were mil spec. Anything that's going to be anywhere near an F-15 has to be mil spec, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I did very little for the F-15. Most of our work for McDonnell Aircraft was on the F-A-18 for Navy, for the Navy program, and that was an incredible aircraft. But I learned a lot of techniques, John, from dealing with people that have plenty of money. Even though they were tight with it, they had plenty of money to throw at a project and get it rolling. They knew the right type of tooling, the right methods. They knew the most cost-effective machinery and methods to get a job done. And I was at McDonnell Douglas quite often, and I was always very, very observant. I paid attention to what they were doing and how they were doing it, not just being in awe of the overall facility, which it was. If you ever got to take a tour of that place, it was incredible to see what went on. Probably the most interesting thing I ever saw was the drop test on the FA-18, where they'd rev up the wheels, and they had this thing suspended by the airframe, and the whole plane suspended by all these cables, and they would drop that thing. And you had
How far?
Had earplugs. I don't remember. Maybe 10 or 12 feet. They'd drop it, so it would flex the landing gear, and also, there were black skid marks all over they had that thing chained down, so if it broke loose, boy, it'd go through the side of the building. It was really something to witness. Safety glasses, earplugs, and the headphone things, to block all the noise, and it was still loud. But it was really something, and I saw the wind tunnels up there where they did a lot of testing on the model parts, and it was quite a place. But I mainly made electronic parts for them, and but we were sole source on one of the testing systems that are still in use to this day worldwide. But NAFTA and GATT took care of that business, as you remember, John, and
Right.
So I closed it down in 2001, in June of 2001, and I've always said when one door closes, another opens, and I learned about Mr. Lee Kroc and his healing method, which is what we call the energy cleaner nowadays. So as that door closed, I was looking for other business opportunities and met with Mr. Lee Kroc, and the rest is history. Here we are, going on 18 years, producing the energy cleaners. The best part was, and it became very apparent to me after working with Lee Kroc for several years, that after all of my manufacturing work, I had acquired quite a bit of really nice equipment to produce this type of these products. So I had the equipment. Everything was paid for. Didn't owe a dime on any of it. And Lee Kroc, it turns out, was very wealthy. He was a very wealthy man. And it became very apparent that he had the money to lubricate the gears, so to speak, and get this thing rolling and make it happen. He just needed help to turn it into a commercial product, which is what I did for him, and the rest is history. He always told me over the years, he said he was going to live to be 150, and I says, yeah, Lee, we all think that, but what if you get hit by a truck and that's the end of Lee Kroc? He said, well, I would hope that you would carry on in my absence. And, John, that's exactly what we're doing today, and I work with you closely, and the two of us, we get these out to people all over the world. We're doing everything we can to help people with pain and health issues, and it
Absolutely.
is a very, very gratifying line of work. It really is.
It is. It is. We got a caller on hold here. We got Tony in North Dakota. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, John and Tom, and just wanted an update on the energy cleaner that we have here. Of course, I would never be without it, not even for a minute. I use it in the tub. I use it when I go to sleep at night, and boy, do I sleep. I used to get up at 5 in the morning. Now I sleep till like 7, and I think it's 5 in the morning. Anyway, I don't know if you've ever covered this angle of things, but we have a couple of dogs that off and on sleep on the end of our bed, and one of them is getting pretty old, and she's had neck problems, and we have to actually, or had to actually, put her bowl up to eat because she couldn't bend her neck down. Well, she's been getting on that bed at the end of the bed of our bed with the energy cleaner, and wow, she's acting like a puppy, getting on her back and rolling around and playing with the little dog, and no neck problems, and bounding around like wow. And then the other dog that's periodically slept on the bed seems to want to do it all the time, every night now. I don't know if that has an effect on pets, but it sure seems to. I just wanted to give you that little extra update on that, and boy, they sure seem to like it.
Well, there's no such thing, Tony, as placebo effect for animals. There isn't. And your report, I had a regular guest for, this has been several years ago. His dog could barely walk, and after using the energy cleaner, the dog's energy and playfulness was restored also. So what you're describing is what we expect, Tony.
Oh, well, we have 2 dogs that sleep on periodically on our bed now all the time, it seems like. And we got one that can't get up there. She's too old. So I made a little bed with some chicken wire underneath it. And right now, about 6-8 feet from it, she's laying on it moaning, and not moaning because she's hurting. He likes it. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that little aside to, of course, I would never be without it, but it seems like the animals are in the same way. Right. So I'll let you guys get back to it. Okay. I just wanted to give you that update. Have a great day, guys, and a Merry Christmas to you.
Appreciate the call. Thank you, sir. You know, that reminds me, Tim Spencer has to keep the door to his bedroom closed. They have 5 dogs in their home, and if they don't, the dogs will all be on that bed where the energy cleaner signal is. We don't have any dogs at our home here at the moment, Tom, but when we did, we had 2 little doggy mattresses in the laundry room, which is separate from the house, with their own energy cleaner. They had their very own energy cleaner with screen wire beneath their little doggy mattresses. And it was kind of funny. Before the energy cleaner, they would leave in the morning, leave their sleeping space, and never come back until the evening. But once the energy cleaner mat was installed, they would come and go periodically every hour or two. They would come in and take a little 5 or 10 minute break and then go back out. Once the energy cleaner was installed under their little doggy mattresses, it was a lot of fun to watch, really.
Well, John, I can tell several stories about dogs and cats. But, in one case, I went in, in the summer of 06 or 07. I think it was 06. And I went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Frank Whalen, who used to be a host here on RBN, Frank, and a radio station that employed him, sponsored a health fair at one of the local hotels in the ballroom, and we had a blast, and a lot of people showed. About 2,000 people showed up that we estimated, and I gave a talk. Lee Kroc was there. He spoke about the energy cleaner, and several other people with health products. Met a lot of different folks, but there was one little old lady that came there, little bitty lady, and she had this big giant purse, and she came and patiently stood there, and she wanted to meet and talk to me, and her son was with her. And she finally got up to the table, and we're talking, and she just shook my hand. She wanted to thank me. She told me about her little Cocker Spaniel. She said the dog was having serious kidney problems, and they thought they were going to have to put the dog to sleep because they just couldn't take care of it, and the veterinarian said the suffering couldn't go on. And she ordered an energy cleaner and got it set up, and that woman told me, she says, in one night, it made a huge change, and by the second day, that dog was like it was a brand new puppy, and everything worked itself out. And she says the dog is doing fine, and her son, who drove her over there, she came over from Tulsa, Oklahoma, I believe is where she was from, and he stood there nodding and verified everything, and he said he set it up for her and for the pup, and they just couldn't hardly believe how well it worked. The reason I remember this lady, John, you'll get a kick out of this. This woman had to be about 4'10" and real slender, and she had this big purse, and when she opened that purse, she got some money out. She wanted to buy one of the bioelectrifiers I was selling. She opened her purse, and she had a 6-inch barrel stainless steel Ruger 357 revolver. I mean, that gun was as big as her. And
GP100.
I believe it was, or I believe it was a GP100, but.
Yep.
I got the biggest kick out of that, and I said, ma'am, have you ever shot that? Oh, she says, yeah, several times. And she says, I have to really hang on to it. And I said, I'll bet you do. Her son says she practices with 38s because the 357s really almost really knock her around too much.
So 4'10", what'd she weigh, about 90, 95 pounds?
Just something like that, John. There wasn't much there, but she was the most gracious woman and so pleasant to talk to. And she was just thrilled because of what that energy cleaner did for her beloved little Cocker Spaniel pup. And she showed me a picture of that little guy, the cutest dog you could ever imagine. So that woman's life was complete because her constant companion was healed and giving her a lot of joy in her life. It was really heartwarming to talk to her, and she was so happy. And then, John, in our case here, we had this dog. We got him when he was 8 weeks old, and we had to put him to sleep. He was 18 years and 4 months old. We had that dog all those years, and his kidneys did give out. He was just way too old. But the veterinarian that would see him on occasion here at a nearby vet clinic, they all told us that this is very unusual for this breed of dog to live that long. But they were just amazed at how well he did. And one time I had him up there, he was about 16 years old, and the lady waiting with her little dog in the office was commenting about how nice of a dog he was, and she says he's really a friendly little pup. And I said, how old do you think he is? She says, I don't know, 3 or 4, something like that. And I said, this dog is 16 years old. This woman couldn't believe it. And people never did believe it because he was so energetic, and all because of that energy cleaner, John.
Yep, that's expected. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 21st of December. Yes, we're talking about the Energy Cleaner, a marvelous healing device. Only $285, shipping included. Keep in mind, I offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, soon to be 90 days, by the way. We haven't got to that yet. You're risking nothing when you buy Energy Cleaner. And of course, we have so many people buying their second and third and fourth units. It's becoming very clear to a lot of folks that, yes, you're risking nothing when you buy your Energy Cleaner. The mattress pads vary in price, depending on what you get. Twin, full, queen, king, California king, the handy travel size, 12 by 24 inches. Everything's right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. I take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. PayPal now takes payments, by the way. And PayPal, of course, is the most secure way to make any payment online. I really like PayPal. If you need to send me a check, my address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. Just drop that check in the mail, and I'll get your shipment packed up. Take it to the Cherryville store where you can get, not tomorrow night because of the Christmas holiday, but usually on Friday evenings. All-you-can-eat catfish buffet for $7.99, beverage for $2. You can get it, and that includes the side dishes and dessert. A complete meal, all you can eat, for $10 at the Cherryville store, the catfish special on Friday evenings. Yes, it's my home business. I'm the guy that packs these up. I'm the guy that takes them to Cherryville Post Office. So check out everything at my website at libertyman.com. The patent application details the use of a very esoteric Russian photographic technique called Kirlian photography that allows a person to photograph the electromagnetic field around every living thing, whether it's a tomato plant, a puppy dog, or a human being. That technology was used to develop the Energy Cleaner. Fascinating stuff. And of course, Tom Berryhill is the manufacturer, and he's cranking them out just as quick as his little hands can fabricate, aren't you, Tom? Hello, Tom. Okay, Tom's not there. We lost Tom, but that's okay. Tom's got to get back to work because I got to pick up Energy Cleaners from him later today. And yes, Energy Cleaners, marvelous healing devices. If you have arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, not getting a great night's sleep, that's what you need is an Energy Cleaner. Quite frankly, you really do. You need an Energy Cleaner if you have any of those things going on. What are you waiting for? Are you procrastinating? Most likely you are. People typically wait several months to a year before they make up their mind to go ahead and get the Energy Cleaner. We do everything we can to encourage people to go ahead and bite the bullet and get it sooner rather than wait. I get these emails all the time. John, I regret having waited 6 months. John, I regret having waited a year. That's a year of lost productivity. So get over it, bite the bullet, call that toll-free order line, order your Energy Cleaner, and I'll get it shipped out just as quickly as humanly possible. That toll-free order line is 800-592-9543, 800-592-9543. You'll be glad you did. It's getting your life back. Pain can take over your life, in case you don't know it. If you're suffering from pain, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pain will take over your life and distract you from doing the things that you really wanted to be doing, whatever they may be. Work, hobbies, social interaction, church activities, whatever it might be, just playing with the kids or the grandkids. Pain will distract you from whatever it is you want to be doing, need to be doing. And Energy Cleaner will help you get past the pain. New Year coming up. What a great gift for yourself. An Energy Cleaner. Here's our top of the hour break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Thursday, the 21st of December. Proper tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to please consider taking a child, a boy or a girl, or maybe several boys and girls to a hunter safety class. Children, grandchildren, maybe a church group. It would be a great gift for that youngster to take them to a hunter safety class. That's your prepper tip of the day. I was just reading this morning that for the second year in a row, average U.S. life expectancy has gone down. And the country with the highest life expectancy, it kind of caught me off guard, is South Korea, of all things. And how 70 years ago, South Korea was a third world country, devastated by the Korean War, absolutely devastated by the Korean War. On one hand. On the other, these are industrious, resourceful people who have built themselves an excellent country for themselves out of the rubble of the Korean War. And, well, I say good for the South Koreans. God bless them for doing so. But the real question is, why is the U.S. life expectancy, average U.S. life expectancy going down for 2 years in a row? Why is that? Well, the unprecedented drug epidemic does play a role. Overall health, or lack thereof, plays a massive role. The water that people drink, I'm learning more and more, plays an even just as big, if not greater, role in all of this. It's kind of funny when German competitive swimmers come to the U.S., they refuse to swim in American swimming pools for competition unless they are chlorine-free. They will not swim in a swimming pool that has chlorine in it. I say good for them. Now, when I was in junior high school, the junior high school I went to, we had access to a swimming pool. The high school had a swimming pool, but the junior high school was right across the street, and we would walk over there and have swimming activities. And the chlorine smell was really strong, very strong. It's poison. Chlorine was used to kill soldiers on the battlefield in World War I, in case you don't know. It's a very poisonous gas, and it can be put into water, obviously. Almost all city water supplies have chlorine in them, and many have the additional poison of sodium fluoride added to the water. Both very harmful, very dangerous, very poisonous. So let's talk about health a little bit. Health is not optional. If you don't have your health, what do you have? Not much, quite frankly. And water is not optional. My wife, Dr. Moore, had a female patient, who appeared to be a normal, bright woman, successful in her chosen career, who took pride in, quote unquote, I never drank water. What a bizarre way to live your life. What an unhealthy way to live your life. So starting with water, the water should be pure water. Spring water is the best, in my opinion. You really do not. And I know I have a couple of very dear friends, and they think they're doing the right thing, but I think they're causing great harm to their children. They're raising only drinking distilled water. The children have had multiple dental issues that seem to have no end to them. Neither child is involved in contact sports, but I believe if they were, that they would suffer broken bones. That's my opinion. It's kind of funny when the boy is 2 years older than my granddaughter. I believe this would be about 3 or 4 years ago. My granddaughter was 8 at the time, and the boy was 10. And they decided on their own that they were going to have an arm wrestling match here on my kitchen table. And after the third time, the 10-year-old being defeated by the 8-year-old girl who weighed 45 pounds, he said, I'm not doing this anymore. That was pretty funny. Yeah, spring water is the best. That's what we have here at my place. We have well water and spring water both. If your circumstances compel you to consume water from a public water supply, you need to filter it. Get a good quality filter. I offer 2 different kinds there at my website, Professor McCanney's filters and the Berkey filters. They're both high quality. Professor McCanney believes his to be better than the Berkey. I don't know. Berkey's been around for about a century. They do a pretty good job. But you need filtered water. A gravity feed water filter is very dependable and will get you good quality water. So that's number 1. It's good quality water. Number 2, your food. Now, back when I was young and dumb, I made fun of organic food. I would say things like, well, there's such a thing as inorganic food, trying to make fun of organic food. I didn't know any better. I've since become educated, and now I understand the value of organic food. Yes, it is more expensive. Of course it is. It's not grown on these massive corporate farms, organic food. Certified organic. What can you do? Well, there's some things you can do, that don't cost a whole lot of money. First of all, avoid wheat, unless it's certified organic. Even then, I probably wouldn't eat it because of the gluten. But if you are going to consume wheat, make sure it's certified organic. But the wheat products that are not certified organic are going to have glyphosate, Roundup, in them. Roundup's in a lot of grains, by the way. Most commercial grains grown in this country, they're not certified organic, are probably going to be contaminated with Roundup, also known as glyphosate. You look up, do your homework. Look up glyphosate. My goodness, what a harmful chemical. What a very, very harmful chemical that is. Soy products, unless they're fermented soy products, human beings should not consume soy products. They shouldn't. Meat, I'm not a vegetarian. Don't have any intention of becoming one. If you can get meat from a known source, it shouldn't be that difficult to do. Health food stores will sell beef that has not been shot up with antibiotics and growth hormones. Same way with chicken. You want beef and chicken, and it's not all shot up with antibiotics and growth hormones. Organic is better if you can get it. Now, the area I live in, we have a lot of grass-fed beef around here. Typically, these beef cattle get little to no grain. They don't need it. They grow up to be quite healthy, just eating grass. Sometimes the ranchers will supplement them with some grain, especially in the wintertime when the grazing is more difficult for the cattle. And of course, they have mineral blocks for the cattle to lick on, which helps keep them healthy as well. But most health food stores, you can gain access to good healthy beef and good healthy chicken. I've started consuming all the beef, by the way. I ate everything but the bone. I eat the fat also. I think it's probably healthier to consume all the beef. And it is a little fat mixed in with the beef is really quite tasty. Pork, there's people who refuse to consume pork. I do in moderation myself. I just had some barbecued pork yesterday for lunch. Your diet's going to vary from person to person. One of the books my wife, Dr. Moore, recommends is Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And the author makes a good, strong scientific argument about which foods are better for which blood types. And staying within the confines of that as much as possible is helpful. Let's talk about dairy a little bit. Dairy products. Now, there's literally millions of dollars spent to convince Americans that consuming milk is healthy. I don't believe it is. The best milk for human infants to consume is human milk from their own mother. That's the best and highest quality milk that a human infant can consume. Next would be probably goat milk for human infants to consume, and last would be cow milk for human infants to consume. And when my daughter was an infant, we made our own formula using raw cow's milk, unpasteurized raw cow's milk, with various things put in her to make it healthier for the child, and she grew up to be a pretty healthy young woman. Now, I don't believe human beings should consume milk once they're past infancy and can consume solid food. I really don't. Any milk at all. I really don't. They talk about vitamin D in milk. There's some. It's not a very good source of vitamin D, quite frankly. Green leafy vegetables are a better source of vitamin D. Sunshine is a great source of vitamin D. 15 minutes of direct sunshine on your face, maybe your arms, you'll get some vitamin D out of that. Eating fresh food, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh meat is the best way to be healthy, in my opinion, as opposed to canned fruits and vegetables. Frozen is better than canned. There's almost always heat involved in canning fruits and vegetables and meats, which is going to destroy the enzymes that is part of being healthy. Freezing doesn't do that. The enzymes are still there for you to consume. I look around me at my peers. When I go to the Cherryville store, there's 3 men, myself and 2 others. They're all within 6 months of being the same age. And I am 1 month younger than one guy, and 3 months older than another guy. Both these men look like they could be 10 to 15 years older than me. One man can barely walk. He's 90 to 100 pounds overweight. The other gentleman is maybe 50 to 60 pounds overweight, and he obviously struggles just to ambulate. I was shocked to find out their true ages. I really was shocked. And I'm sitting there at the Cherryville store listening to a man young enough to be my son talking about his surgeries and his multiple surgeries. And once the conversation gets going, everybody at the table starts talking about the various medications they take, the surgeries they have, and so forth. People my age and younger. It doesn't have to be that way. It didn't used to be. It used to be that the average American man, the average American woman, took no medication at all and didn't have any surgeries. That was normal 60 years ago, even 50 years ago. It's not any longer. The new normal is multiple pharmaceutical products, surgeries, interventions. That's become normal, unfortunately. Doesn't have to be that way. Shouldn't be that way, but it is. It's kind of enjoyable being around these Amish families. I was at a social event recently, a birthday party, and there were several Amish families there, and what a healthy, vigorous bunch of men and women and children. And they all, the teenage boys and girls, have nice, clear complexions. The men and women, for the most part, are pretty much height-weight proportionate, vigorous, walk with a normal gait, energetic. They're not all loaded up with all the harmful things that other Americans consume on a daily basis. I was disappointed to recently find out that President Trump consumes Diet Coke. That is a disappointment. He's probably has a physical addiction to it, which most people that consume diet soda for very long, they actually acquire physical addiction to the diet soda. Long term, it's very harmful. Air Force pilots are prohibited from drinking diet sodas, by the way. They will be administratively punished if they consume diet soda, taken off flight status eventually. Why is that, you ask? Well, funny you should ask. Do you really want to have somebody in the front seat of that plane going 250 miles an hour that's getting headaches and blurred vision? Really? Do you? I don't. Now, the food we consume, the water we consume is killing us, literally killing us. Not figuratively, but literally. Much of what people consume, your body doesn't even recognize it as food. It gets down there in your stomach. Your body's attempting to digest this stuff. Your body's trying to figure out what is this stuff that they put in me this time. What am I going to do with it? Can I eliminate it out the bottom? Can I store it up someplace where it can cause no harm? It's going to one or the other is going to happen. It's either going to be eliminated out the bottom at the end of your digestive tract, or stored away someplace in the form of fat where it can be protected from the rest of your body and cause as little harm as possible. Or it may be of such a nature that it actually can pass through the blood-brain barrier, which very few things can do, and cause harm to your brain. The blood-brain barrier is there for a reason. It's there to protect you from harmful things that you ingest. And there are some things, such as sodium fluoride, for example, which can penetrate the blood-brain barrier and cause harm to your pineal gland. It calcifies it. Here's our break. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. On Thursday, 21st December. Here's something that will help you. It's a free download at my website. It's an article about 19 pages or so, titled The Artificially Sweetened Times. If Americans could do just one thing en masse, that being eliminating artificial sweeteners from their diet, it would be a massive benefit to our entire country as far as our overall health is concerned. Seriously. Artificial sweeteners are poison. Literally poison. If you have a problem with ants, just put the artificial sweetener out there and the ants will die. It kills them. Aspartame. That's the artificial sweetener used in most diet soft drinks most of the time. Aspartame came out of the Army's chemical weapons research, by the way. Some scientist was attempting to find a newer and better way to kill people and accidentally tasted this stuff, realizing how sweet it was? Not one, but two scientists at the Food and Drug Administration refused to certify aspartame safe for human consumption. The first one refused, he was fired. The next one refused, he was fired. The third one decided he was going to keep his pension and paycheck and went ahead and certified aspartame safe for human consumption. It's nasty stuff. It's poison. It seriously is poison. And the list of side effects associated with aspartame is about 20 or so side effects, including really fun things, like I mentioned earlier, blurred vision, headaches, and how about this, brain tumors. Yes, brain tumors, cancerous brain tumors associated with aspartame. It would be anything you can do to help yourself or somebody you care about get off the addiction, and it does become a physical addiction, by the way, of aspartame, diet sodas. And there's any product you see in the supermarket that says sugar-free, it most likely has aspartame in it. That's the ubiquitous go-to sweetener, artificial sweetener. Now, some of these others, these newer ones, one of them claims to be made from sugar, for example. It was sugar at one time. It's no longer, it's chlorinated sugar, and it enlarges some internal organs and shrinks other internal organs. They're all bad. Not a single one of these artificial sweeteners are healthy for human beings to consume. None of them. None of them. And I've heard people, I was fixing a cup, I was pouring some coffee for myself at a meeting, and the wife of a friend of mine was standing there, and she was fixing her cup of coffee and putting in some artificial sweetener. And she said, "Well, I got to have it, John." I said, "No, you don't. You don't have to have it. It's a want. It's not a need. It's a want." And she has a number of health concerns herself, and as most American adults do in this country, one or more health concerns that they're dealing with. That isn't normal. It's become normal. It shouldn't be normal, but it's become normal. Normal is what happens most of the time. If something happens more than half the time, that becomes normal, which makes me abnormal. This is my fourth decade of not consuming any prescription pharmaceutical products. The last time I consumed a prescription pharmaceutical product was 1985. So this is my fourth decade of not consuming any pharmaceutical products. When I got life insurance, because I got my motorcycle, I thought it would be the adult thing to do to get life insurance to make sure my wife was taken care of. And I had to take a mandatory health checkup. The insurance company thought I must be lying. There's no way that this man over 60 years old has not consumed a pharmaceutical prescription product since 1985. That can't be, which is why they had me checked out not once, not twice, but 3 times by 3 different healthcare professionals, finally ending up in the office of a very polite young Filipino doctor in Salem, Missouri, who I was there for 2 or 3 hours. At the end of our session, he said, "John, you're healthier than I am. Get the hell out of here." I said, "Thank you, Doc." And I got my life insurance. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to consume sweet products and get an iced tea without it, believe it or not. Here's our break. Stay tuned. Right.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. Let's jump back. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 21st of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I was talking to Tim Spencer yesterday. He said, boy, John, there's a lot of stuff at your website. I said, Tim, I know. You and I put it there. Well, we got a new image as of yesterday, and I just counted up. We got 21 images that have been found this year. It's not counting the original one from that we had for several years from the movie The Godfather. 21 images of continents with new coastlines. The majority of them are in movies and TV shows. There's some others, but 21 this year. So I fully expect this number to double or even triple. Images of continents with new coastlines, movies and TV shows going back to the mid-1950s. More than 60 years ago. Pretty amazing project. It's a fun project. I could not possibly do this by myself. How many hundreds of thousands of hours of movies and TV shows the past 60 years? It would be quite a number. If you have some discretionary time, you're watching a movie or a TV show, and you find an image of a continent with new coastlines, get that image to me, get the screen capture to me. You get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs. Now, number 17, or actually 18 here, but not counting the Vatican, just posted yesterday. The TV show it's titled Highway Through Hell. It's about the men who rescue over-the-road trucks and people stuck in the frozen areas of Canada, maybe Alaska, I'm not sure, but places where they get some really serious winter. Originally broadcast September 17th, 2013. The episode is titled The Comeback Kid. And you can see the map. It's a plastic-covered map on the wall of this man's office. And you can see that there's an inland sea inside California. You can see there's an inland sea in the middle of the United States, in the Mississippi Valley, and so forth. It's not the best map, but it's an okay map. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners for sale. Marvelous healing devices. It's not a TENS unit, not a rifle machine. It's entirely different technology. The energy cleaner puts out a healing electrostatic signal. That's what it does. It goes to every cell in your body, flushing out toxins, bringing in fresh nutrition. That's how it works. If you have joint pain, arthritis pain, back pain, it will probably help you. Not getting a great night's sleep, you're tired of taking pharmaceutical products to help you sleep, get yourself an energy cleaner. Only $285, shipping included, American zip codes. Yes, I do take PayPal. PayPal is the most secure way to make any payment online. And if you live in the U.S., PayPal now takes payments. Pretty neat, huh? MasterCard, Visa, you can send me a check. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. Most people these days are going ahead and buying a factory-made fitted mattress pad right at the get-go to go with their energy cleaner. It's a great combination. It's a great gift. I would say 1/4 to 1/3 of my sales are people buying them for a friend or a loved one. Pretty neat. Toll-free hour line, 24 hours a day. Here it is. 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We get open lines here at Public Broadcasting. If you want to call in your question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. Okay, we're talking about health and health-related matters. And it's a matter of motivation. Are you motivated to be healthy and get your health back? And hopefully you are. Hopefully you are. That would be a great thing, to have your health and to get your health back. What are you going to do? Well, first of all, you have to understand what health is and how to eliminate the bad things and incorporate the good things in health. That's what you need to do. It's simple. It may cause you to have to change some things that need to be changed. And the first step is probably the most difficult. That's what it is. The first step is probably the most difficult thing to do. But take that first step. Make that decision. A lot of people this time of year, especially between Christmas and New Year's, they have time. They have take off time from work. They have time to reflect on their life, where their life is, where it's going, where they want it to go. All those things frequently take place during this time of year. And if that's your situation, if you find yourself with some discretionary time that you can do these things, reflect on your life, think about where it is and where you would want it to be, that's what you need to be doing. That's exactly what you need to be doing. Now, tomorrow, the second hour, we'll be visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. He's my personal physician. He's beginning a new program to help people, a more structured program, shall we say, to help people regain lost health, to improve the health that they have. I'm going to be participating in it myself. It's been about 9 years since I competed in the 100-meter dash, which has been my event since I was in junior high school, actually, and maybe the 200-meter dash as well, the 200-meter sprint. So I think it's time for me to once again bite the bullet and train to compete successfully in the 100-meter dash in the Senior Olympics. It's kind of funny, people confuse the Senior Olympics with the Special Olympics. It's always amusing that people get confused between the two. The Special Olympics are for people with disabilities. The Senior Olympics are for people over, I think, 55 years old. It may be 50. It's either 50 or 55 years old for the Senior Olympics. I also find it ironic that, at least in St. Louis, when the local TV coverage takes place at the Senior Olympics, they'll cover things like bowling or other things that don't require a whole lot of athletic ability. They don't show men and women in their 60s and 70s and even their 80s out there doing track and field, doing the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, high jump, and so forth. I'm not sure what the agenda is and why they don't show those really athletic events when the TV coverage is going on. It seems like it would be more interesting for the viewers in terms of a visual image to see the seniors doing these more athletic things. That's just my opinion. But why not? Why not? Why not compete in an athletic event when you're 55 or 60 or 70 years old? That's what I intend to do. And I recall I was training for the 100-meter dash. This was about, I'm going to say about 12 years ago or so. 10 or 12 years ago. I was right at about 58, 59 years old. And the athletic coach, the track coach for the high school, was there to help to time me. And so he timed me, and it was coming out, I think, a little less than 16 seconds. And he stood there with his stopwatch, and he says, "John, I can't do that." And I said, "Okay, Coach, I'm sorry, but I can." That particular time, I didn't warm up enough, and I pulled an abductor muscle. That's the muscle that lifts up the leg. Obviously, you can't put the leg down and run if you can't lift up the leg. So I injured the abductor muscle, and I had my event coming up in 3 days. I ran injured that event, and didn't get the time I was looking for. But a year or two later, I ran without injury and ran 15.7 seconds as a 60-year-old. And there's men out there competing my age and even older that are running even lower times than I was running. When I ran 15.7, there was a guy who ran 15.6 right next to me. I was ahead of him for most of the race, but he had a burst of energy and was able to get about half a stride in front of me right there at the finish line. But that's competition. And I know for myself, it's just the way I'm wired, that I won't work out very much at all unless I have a goal in mind to compete and be competitive. It's just the way I'm hardwired, and I'm not going to try to fight that or resist it. It's just simply the way it is to get out there and compete. And it takes a good 2 months, a good 8 weeks of training to go from where I am in my normal non-competitive physical condition to being ready to compete successfully in a 100-meter dash. A good 8 weeks of stretching and sit-ups and push-ups and running and running and running. I have a 100-meter course laid out here in my place that I'll run that every morning. 3 mornings a week when I'm training in the spring. It's not the best. In fact, I may go ahead and get the tractor out and grade it out to make it a little bit better. There's a couple of spots where, and I know where they are, where a person running could actually have an injury. So I may get the tractor out and grade that down and blade it and put some, maybe some half-inch minus rock there to make a nice little 100-meter track for myself. That would be about a half-day project to do that. Get the gravel in and blade it down and have it ready to go, so I could train right here without having to go to the high school track. The local high school track is very nice, by the way. They have a nice artificial surface on there that is very comfortable and fun to run on. But that's me. That's what I do. You may want to do something else. You may want to get involved in swimming, maybe doing a 5K race or so, or a 10K race, whatever it is. I don't do long distance. It's never been my event. Recently we had a 100-mile race here where men and women compete to run 100 miles over a period of 24 hours. Now that's an event. And I don't know that I want to do a 100-mile race. They have people that they have checkpoints, I believe. Every 5 or 10 miles, I don't recall exactly how close together the checkpoints are. A friend of mine and his wife, they were manning one of the checkpoints, and they had ham radios to stay in touch because these areas are so remote out here that the cell phones simply don't work. 100-mile race on foot, not in a car, on foot, 24 hours. And people do that. They go 100 miles in 24 hours. That's extraordinary. And I say more power to them. If you have that wherewithal and don't mind losing a few toenails, because they do lose toenails, by the way, in these events. I'm not sure all the reasons why. I really haven't looked into it. I know I would want some really good foot gear because these routes, I don't know how smooth they are, but I would want to avoid injury and have really good foot gear and not get in too much of a hurry. There's going to be sleep deprivation. There'll be issues with being properly hydrated, having enough nutrition to keep you going. It's probably going to be sugar and caffeine, quite frankly, to keep you going 100 miles in 24 hours. It would be tough. You'd have to be in tip-top physical condition to not cause short-term or long-term damage to yourself. I did hear about one guy older than me, I think he was 78 years old, who competes. I think he goes to the 10 or 20 mile mark, and then he calls it a day for himself, a guy pushing 80 years old. I say more power to him. He's doing something that most American men 20 years old couldn't do, which is run 20 miles. But that's what motivates me, is competition. And it's been that way since I was in junior high school, and it will continue to be that way, being motivated to compete in my chosen event, the 100-meter dash. What's it going to be for you this coming year? What kind of event are you going to compete in? Most of you won't compete in anything, but maybe it's just something for fun without competition. Nice walks in the park. Walking is excellent exercise, by the way. You get your good cardio workout. It's good for all the muscles, especially if you're in nice fresh air. It's just a good workout, just walking. And I walk a lot myself, up and down these hills here. I have a regular route I take around our ranch, which is about right at 1 to 1 1/10 miles. The hill right behind the house here is equivalent of a 10-story building. All the way up and all the way down. Walking down is quite frankly more dangerous because of the rocks and gravel going down. But it's fun. I routinely see deer and squirrels and rabbits, occasionally a fox, sometimes an armadillo, which I make a diligent attempt to kill the armadillos. They're not good to have around for a number of reasons. Groundhogs, snakes, of course. And the birds. We saw, my friend and I, Ron, we saw an American eagle yesterday on the way to lunch in Cherryville. There's one hanging out along Highway 19 there. It's always beautiful to see the American eagle. Okay. I got a note from my engineer here about how you lose your toenails, and it actually have a word for it. Onychoptosis. If I'm saying it right, onychoptosis. When you run extreme distances and your feet swell and your toes rub against the sheer of the boot. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Your feet aren't used to that. I'm not sure how they could become used to that. I hate to think of what it would take. But, yeah. Onychoptosis. How about that? We got a break coming up here. You got a question or comment? Give us a call at 800-313-9443. What physical activity you're going to be doing this coming year? Let us know what that physical activity is going to be for yourself. Walking, running, swimming, bicycling. What's it going to be? Here's our break. Stay tuned. More here on Thursday, the 21st of December. I was just reflecting when I was competing in the Senior Olympics a few years ago, how being out there on the field, getting ready to compete, and being around the other athletes, having on my sweatsuit, putting my track spikes on, it's like half a century just melted away. And I was back at Fort Bragg with the post-track team, getting ready to compete at Fort Bragg. It's just an amazing experience how being in that environment makes the decades melt away, and you're transported back to an earlier, at least for myself, transported back to an earlier time when I was 21 years old and training for the Fort Bragg track team, or even a few years before that at the state outdoor track meet in University of Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. It was an amazing, fun experience for me to do that and have the people up in the stands cheering us on, and all the camaraderie of being out there with the men who were competing. It was just a great event, and I'm glad I did it, and I'm looking forward to doing it again this coming spring. Probably Memorial Day weekend is when they've been doing it in St. Louis. They have them all over the country, by the way, the Senior Olympics. And I may end up competing in several events in different venues, possibly Kansas City, maybe Memphis or Little Rock or other places. Be a great weekend experience. One of the things I've been disappointed is they have my two events, the 100 meter and 2 meter events, on different days. Maybe they're concerned that some of us old farts may have a heart attack if they have both events on the same day. I don't know how they set up this scheduling. But yeah, a lot of fun, and that's what I'll be doing. And think about it. What are you going to do yourself? You're going to be doing some walking, or playing tennis maybe, or racquetball, or swimming, hiking, bicycling. They're all good events, and they all help you be in a better physical condition, which will help you the rest of your life, being in better physical condition. Everything gets better when you're in better physical condition. So do that. Set a goal. Set a goal that's a realistic goal for yourself. It may just be walking around the block. There's people who would have difficulty even doing that. But you got to start somewhere. Walk around the block. Take a walk in the park and do it several times a week. That's it for the day. Medical supplies, energy, cleaning, essential oils. Now while you can. Firearms and ammunition. Never ever give up your guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.